What's up, everyone? This is the Go Long podcast at golongtd.com, Apple, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. Hamburg Brewing Company. We were going to do it in person. We had to go remote. So here we are, Jim. But yeah, it's a good time to get on in there to HBC. A little bit longer now. Back in stock, I've been told, from Johnny Russo Jr. That's what you got to get. You know, the playoffs are right around the corner too. So a little bit longer now is not a bad way to go. It is stout season too. I mean, it gets colder. It's a good time to get those stouts. I'll still die on that hill.
You know, I got lucky in my fridge today. I pulled out a very sneaky little 7.2 to start the day. It's a good, perfect, it puts me in a good mood for lunchtime, do the pod. It's just, we got to get back there. We got to get back to we got to get back to HBC. That's where
we do.
It's where we do our best. It's where we do our best work.
COVID complications throwing a wrench into those plans today, but we will get back there the second we can. I'm working a little mound about. If you're watching, it's pretty good.
Strong.
Can't go wrong with the groundeds, the 10.0s. But yeah, Jim, I mean, there's 2 weeks left in the regular season, which is pretty crazy. I can't believe that. I feel like we were just doing those season preview episodes with Dan Wiederer and Chris Sims, and we're Matt Collar and
I was gonna say
Blank, and you look up and shit, there's 2 games left, and the real deal's right around the corner. So I guess one thing that's kind of changed in a hurry, the Buffalo Bills, they're typically a topic of conversation on this podcast. So start there. I think we both were a little confused at the least, pissed off at the worst with your tone out of that Monday night game a few weeks ago. And I think we see why now, right? I mean, as you've said all along, this is the more talented team. They had no business getting run over like that. It was kind of it was an embarrassing loss when you can't stop the run. But when the weather's not a factor, on the road at Foxborough, even without 2 of their top receivers, the Bills are right back to where they were a month ago, pretty much.
No, it's funny. I mean, we're sitting here at the end of the year and we're talking Bills Chiefs, right, in the AFC. I mean, this is what we've talked about all before the season. How do the Bills beat Mahomes, right? How do they get pressure on Mahomes? Because we know that's the key to beating him. Just like the key to beating Buffalo will be putting pressure on Josh Allen. But it's funny how it just takes this long of a season where we wrote off, I'm just talking in general, where KC's defense looked ridiculously bad. It's coming back. They got healthier, playing better. I still think there's some holes in that defense. I'm not going to sit there and say it's the greatest defense, but obviously they've made some adjustments to be much more competitive on that side of the ball. But we're sitting here talking Bills Chiefs, just like we did a year ago, pretty much. I mean, I think they're the 2 best teams in the AFC. I mean, we've kind of said that all year, where these are the 2 teams I want to see play again. Just like I said it, well, when we made our predictions, I did Dallas and Green Bay in the NFC. I still want to see that one. I mean, I want to see Rodgers, Josh Allen, Mahomes, Dak. Give me the quarterbacks, give me the teams, and let's go. Like this playoffs is going to be fun. But I think the Bills now I'm not going to say that they're going to get back to what they were. Last year, they just made the offense look too easy. I think maybe that's what we got spoiled with. It's never going to be that easy, I guess, on offense for them anymore, because we're still not seeing the huge chunk plays that they got last year. But they made adjustments, too, on offense. Singletary has run harder every week. And I know you did a really good story on him, but I needed it. I wasn't a huge believer in him as the guy. But he really has shown me that his toughness, he has a little bit of a vision, that he's shown some vision to gain some extra yards that I like. And it's going to take some pressure off of Josh if he can play that way. But at the end of the day, the Bills and the city of Buffalo can be, like we've talked about, so happy. It's hard to find a franchise quarterback, and you have one. I mean, it's Aaron Rodgers, it's Mahomes, Josh Allen. Debate it all you want. Tom Brady is a damn good quarterback, but I'm taking those 3 over Brady. So
Josh Allen has been phenomenal.
I mean, what else can you say? I mean, what else can he do? I mean,
and you know what's funny is, you know, he's not even playing up that, was it his ankle for the cameras? You know, some other quarterbacks might be going into halftime a little early with the cameras on them.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
it's not by accident. It's not by accident.
But it's not just that guy. It's Murray gets hurt. Lamar Jackson has, you know, whatever injury. Like these Josh Allen.
Baker Mayfield's beat to shit.
Baker Mayfield always banged up. Josh Allen is like, I don't want to say he's too good to be true, but what do you not love about him? Like,
yeah,
he's not. He's all about the team. He's tough. He's every single thing you want in a franchise quarterback. I mean, it's really been remarkable to see him really come back after that year last year, and really he's doing it again. Just maybe a little different to the eye, but he's doing it again.
He is. I mean, it's not even last season when things were coming easy, he still would have the relapses here and there. They had that little midseason lull. There was still kind of that Houston Texans wild card craziness that would bubble to the surface here and there. You know, obviously he was second in the MVP voting. He was unbelievable last season, but you haven't really seen boneheaded decisions. No. I think he had, depends on how you count it. I remember one person, they had a reel and it kind of made its way on social media. 19, 20 dropped interceptions, potential interceptions. Nowhere close to that this season. You know, I don't think.
That's something I keep track of when I watch these guys every week. It is a major thing to look at because it tells you if a guy is at least seeing things right. And that has almost, I mean, it was almost every week with Josh. Like, wow, he got lucky there. Wow, he got lucky. Not anymore. Right. I'm not seeing it. I mean, he is really making sound decisions, accurate throws. I don't know. I don't really have much. Like I said, it's Mahomes, Rodgers, Josh Allen. Debate it.
You can see it during the course of the game too, and I wrote on it a little bit Monday. But there was a play, one of the runs he had to the right side. He faked a pitch back like mid-run, where in the past maybe he does just let it fly. You know, the arm strength is there. I mean, what a bullet to Stephon Diggs, but the trust to, you know, one of our other shows that go along, Isaiah McKenzie, to throw him the ball 12 times and know that he's going to come down with 11 of those balls. I don't know how many quarterbacks are showing that level of belief in somebody that hasn't done it. I mean, they had practiced together and been around each other since 2018, but they really haven't practiced together. I mean, Isaiah's been on the scout team, you know, and you haven't seen it on game day. He's forced out there. They don't have a choice but to play him with Beasley and Davis out. I mean, Isaiah McKenzie was incredible in his own right with the plays he made, but Allen's throwing a contested ball to a short receiver against the New England Patriots. There's a lot of quarterbacks that don't even think about making that kind of throw.
Well, to take this to a whole level with Josh, this is how, when we were in New Orleans and you have injuries at the skill position or offensive line or defense, a major player like a Trey White for Buffalo. Yes, those injuries are concerning, and yes, you always want to be full strength. But when you have the right guy at quarterback, you just keep rolling along. And like, to think that the Bills, Davis has been one of the hottest receivers going in the NFL. I mean, they have found a nice chemistry, and the way they use him in the red zone too, with his size. Beasley, always a guy that they rely on early downs, third down. Those guys are out. You don't even know it. Like, that's what happens. Trey White's been out. That's what happens when you have the right guy at quarterback. He's going to make up for it. He really is. And that's why they get the money they get.
Here's the question for you then, Jim. I mean, we made this a major point of emphasis at Go Long for a few months now, but the return to physicality, the return to a Jonathan Taylor, a Derrick Henry whenever he's healthy, the New England Patriots, Leonard Fournette before he got hurt. You're seeing teams embracing the run. You're seeing teams kind of throw it back. Is that style of play still going to be a difference in January? Or is it kind of back to, not back, or do you think it still comes down to just having a freakishly talented quarterback and a wide open spread offense that's going to throw it all over the place?
I think each team is a little different, but I think we always talk about this. I use the word threat. You have to have a threat of a running game, I think, a little bit, just for that one game where if it is hard throwing weather conditions, or if a team has your number a little bit and you need to kind of establish the run, you have to have a threat of it. And I think the Bills do have that. I've always kind of thought they have. They just seem to abandon it sometimes.
Abandon it, yeah.
The teams like the Colts, Tennessee, like if you stop their running game, I think they're in for, I think they're in for a long day. Mm-hmm. And the Bills run defense, as much as that Patriot game gets talked about, the Bills run defense is pretty good. It's really not, it really is a good run defense. I mean,
run defense. I nodded because I thought you said pass defense. Really? You think the run defense is good?
Defense is not bad. Their run defense is not bad. It's a total myth. Let me look here. I have this. I was looking at it this morning.
Damian Harris had a hundo and 3 tutties.
That's one game. We all have one game. Hold on. That's my point, though. I feel like we're making. I mean, it was, and I know Henry, Taylor. Like, yes, the Bills' run defense. And I guess it's not great.
Well, I think that's the point, though. Is like I don't know if Sean McDermott even cares about stopping the run. You know what? They're built to defend the pass, right? They're built for that kind of NFL. So are we going to see that kind of NFL, or are we going to see the throwback NFL?
Yeah, that's a good point. Because I'm looking, it was okay. They're like 17th. That's not that great run defense. I was thinking it was a little better than that.
It feels worse to me because they beat up on bad teams for a while, and then once they started facing good teams, they were getting steamrolled. But it feels like Sean McDermott doesn't care. Like the way they built the team, they don't stopping the run is, they want to take away the deep ball. They want to take away the pass. I don't personally. I'm skeptical. I don't know if you can with the teams that are still going to be in the playoffs. I don't know if you can win 3 in a row or 4 in a row with that model.
So to your point, then yes, you can't get gashed. Like you just can't get gashed. Because once a team starts gashing you, their playbook becomes unstoppable. Because if you have to change your whole game plan to stop the run, other places are going to suffer in the pass game. So I'm with you on that. You just can't. So you have to have a threat of it on offense, and it can't be a fatal flaw for you on defense, where you have to, you can't just give up and get gashed, like I keep saying. And we've seen that. You're right. I mean, they've shown that they have not been able to stop the run against certain teams. So I do think you need to do that in the playoffs. Yeah, I don't think you can go in there just saying our quarterback will carry us. I think you have to stop the run, show a little ability to run the ball. So, but I'm
crazy. But I'm not ready to count out Tennessee or Indianapolis. I feel like Derrick Henry will be back, and maybe it's not the worst thing that, the way he runs the ball. Maybe it's not the worst thing that he was out for a couple months, right? Not taking the pounding.
No, you're right. I don't think it's the worst thing. I agree with you.
And they can turn into that kind of game against Buffalo.
Yeah, and I have to, I'm so quarterback biased. In Tannehill and Wentz, like, I think they're both good quarterbacks. And Wentz has shown some signs of, like, really good quarterback play recently. I feel like he's made some like outstanding big time throws when they needed him to. I don't know if it's there consistently, but he's shown that. And I want to make sure I give him enough like credit for this is his first year with the Colts. I mean, it's not, it does take some time. So maybe he is catching on, getting hot at the right time, being around the team all year. So yeah, I'm not counting those teams out. I still don't know. I'm just such a believer in the quarterbacks will elevate you.
Yeah.
I know. And if Wentz and Tannehill, I just think they need the running game, the play action. The defense has to be on point, like to max out their abilities, where the Bills can, if they're having a bad day on defense, Josh can make up for it. I believe that.
And that's what it comes down to in 2021. It's, New England kind of has to have a formula as well for Mac Jones, right? They need to be running the ball downhill. They need to be playing good defense. They were forcing turnovers at an astronomical rate through their winning streak. Right. They do kind of need all this to work. So do you believe in that kind of model, like the Colts? They they do need multiple things to kind of go right? Or do you just say, screw it? You just want one of those special quarterbacks that's going to cover up all those other flaws, because the Bills have flaws. I could be dead wrong, but I still think you want the former. I still think that all of that other stuff kind of does matter.
No, I think yes, it does matter. It does. I can't sit there and say that. I can't argue that.
Yeah.
Like, I do believe that you can't show up in the playoffs and be weak in an area, like, and you'll get exposed. I mean, if you're that bad against the run, you will get exposed. So yeah, I think you have to have it. I just feel like the teams that don't have the ability to fall back on their quarterback, like the Patriots, like the Titans, maybe the Colts. That's where I feel like, how do they get there? How do you get to the Super Bowl? You're going to have one of those games where the quarterback is just going to have to carry it. Like, right. I just feel like every playoff we have that. There's that one game where
it's true.
I don't know. That's just how I see it. But I mean, it's going to be.
Okay. So enough of the philosophy then. I mean, we can probably agree in the start in the AFC, the Kansas City is the team to beat. Who's got the best shot to take them down? Like who out?
Yeah. I mean, the Bills already beat. I mean, we saw what the Bills did to them this year. So, I mean, that's what I'm saying. This is a wide open for the AFC, wide open.
Tennessee clobbered them too. I mean, it wasn't even as close as 27-3.
Right.
Yeah.
It's wide open. It's going to be so. I think you wrote about. I think these playoffs are going to be. This is going to be a good one.
How about over in the NFC? You know, Green Bay, a lot like Kansas City, I feel like can play either way. You know, Kansas City could win a game in the playoffs with Mahomes having a 60-something passer rating. I feel like their defense has had those, and they beat up Dallas at Arrowhead with Mahomes not playing that great.
Their defense played right. He didn't play well in that game.
I guess that's my point. I don't know if Allen has a somewhat off day. I don't know if the Bills are going to win. He's got to be special, and he could be special. Green Bay, I think, can kind of play both ways, where they can. I mean, Aaron Rodgers can go through a game just not turning it over. They could run the ball well, force a few turnovers, and beat anybody.
I've been pumping them all year. I mean, I'm a little I don't like the way they haven't finished games lately.
Yeah.
Strange for a team that usually is that good, gets up on teams that usually bury you, or don't give. I mean, they really let teams back on them these last couple of weeks. So that's a little bit surprising, but I always talk about the year we won the Super Bowl in New Orleans. We lost our last 3 games of the year.
Yeah, that's right.
Like, I don't know. Sometimes I sit there and be like, this is the time of year you want to get hot. And now we were 13-0 and had some things clinched up. And, so it was like, I think that played a part of it, obviously. But what was I going to say? But anyway, I just feel like you want to be healthy and ready to roll. Just pay attention to teams that are healthy, quarterback, team, coach. That usually gets you to the Super Bowl.
Who do you like in the NFC?
I'm still going. I've been with Green Bay all year. I'm not sliding. I'd love to see Green Bay Buffalo. I'd love to see it. So
would go along. We've got a lot of subscribers and a lot of readers.
That is like right up the long. You'd have to get you'd have to get like a special booth. We should be able to get like a special, some type of media.
Could do a tailgate.
We have talked about those teams a lot.
Yeah, I guess though. I mean, I'm with you in Green Bay. They've been winning ugly. Even that Browns game, that should have been a pass interference and.
Ridiculous, right?
I hate pass interferences at the end of games, but it was pretty obvious. What? And then just run Chubb a few times, and you're kicking a field goal.
Would you be opposed to just every single pass interference is reviewed?
Yeah.
Like, are we to that point? Because these are game-changing penalties, whether it's first quarter, fourth quarter. They flip games, they flip fields, they can and it's a hard call. It's like an offensive charge in basketball. Sometimes it's a judgment, it's some type of judgment call that we have the technology to get this right. I hate that I'm, because it would drive everybody crazy, but I don't know. Like, I think about if I'm in the front office for those teams and like your job, you know, these are your jobs and careers on the line. And if it's an obvious guy pulling on the jersey, like the Bills against Tampa, like, why can't these get called? Why can't these calls get right?
Those seem obvious. They do.
I don't know.
Plus, you're
But
right. I
I
mean,
know
it
it's a
does
hard
affect
call.
people's livelihoods. Like if you're Baker Mayfield and you're at the negotiating table, so he threw 4 picks. Only one of them was really on him, and maybe he
Like
brings
on
them
him,
down.
but-
Maybe he leads a game-winning drive at Lambeau Field that has the Browns thinking about a division title, and instead, everybody's talking about his 4 picks all week, and he's trash. Like it can turn just like that. The
Just
whole
like that.
conversation around again. Now the Browns
Well,
have a very
that's-
measured front office. They're not going to swing hard either way. I'm just more so talking about public
No,
opinion. But
yeah,
that could have been a huge win for Baker Mayfield beyond
huge.
the standings. I mean, the bottom line. It's affected. They're affecting the game. I don't remember it being this bad. I know we always come back to the officiating, but I'm thinking in our wheelhouse, like the early 2000s. I don't remember bitching about the officials this much. I mean, I know I'm older and I lost a lot of hair. I mean, maybe I'm getting curmudgeon-y, but I just feel like it's terrible. It's historically bad.
I don't like bitching about it either. I almost feel guilty saying I want every passenger. I just don't know any other way around it. I don't know what to say at this point, how it gets fit. And I'm just talking about the PIs. Like it seems to me that play can be reviewed.
Yeah. It's a huge play.
It's a huge play.
Yeah.
Now, unless they change, that would be the other thing. If they don't want to review everyone, then maybe you change make it a 15-yard penalty, not the whole spot of the foul.
Mm-hmm. Carson Wentz for a while with the Colts was just chucking it up to Pittman.
Well, we talked about that. It was
5 or 6 of those plays.
Yeah, I'm like, you're getting rewarded for horrible underthrows. And what's a corner supposed to do? He's running full speed. I don't know. It drives me crazy. I don't know.
Newsflash just came across. Roger Goodell is going to join the Manning cast. I'm sure that will be riveting content. The commissioner joining Eli and Peyton.
That will not be a good segment, I don't think. Maybe.
I don't know. I feel like Roger doesn't bleed.
No, he'll be in robot mode.
Yeah.
Nothing. I can't imagine we'll get much.
He's a litigator. They found.
I know one thing. I'll be
litigator.
watching though. I'm so happy when the Mannings are doing those games.
No doubt. All right, just real quick though, in the NFC. All right, so we both like Green Bay. What other team do you think could
you do like Green Bay? You feel good with Green Bay, or?
I do. I think they've got LA's number. I mean, the Rams look better though. They do. I like the fact that they're kind of getting these uglier wins and running the ball a little bit. But I'd still take Rodgers over Stafford in a playoff game. Tampa's so beat up. Like I don't even know who's going to be on the field. I like Tampa up until that New Orleans game. Just man, that might have been a Tyson knockout to their season when we look back at it.
Their health is bad.
So I mean, process of elimination.
Arizona is. I mean,
DeAndre Hopkins he's not healthy.
Is Murray ready to, is he that guy? Is Murray going to take them, to where they need to go? So
it could come down to COVID too, right? Who's going to end up on the COVID list in a do or die? It's bound to happen. It's the NFL's worst nightmare.
Imagine?
You're going to get Kirk Benkert against Lane Gabbert in the NFC Championship game. Hey, but I like Kirk Benkert. He did a great Q&A as I go along. I mean, it could be, that could be a hell of a show. Sign me up. I want Gabbert Benkert for the right to go to the Super Bowl. Wow. Although Aaron Rodgers already had COVID, so
sounds like the last preseason game.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's gonna affect somebody.
No, it is. I know.
It's just rampaging right on through society. So
Yeah, I'm struggling with it. And as far as it's frustrating. I mean, for everybody, I'm sure. It's just like we've come this far in the season. I mean, and I gamble, I bet every day on basketball, and you want to talk about a headache. Like you literally have to wait until like tip off to know who's playing some of these basketball games.
yeah, I think that they did the right thing in adjusting the policy. I mean, they are kind of making it up as they go, but
I know,
it's I mean, we've got to live with it to some extent while still kind of taking it serious, because it is very serious. But it's otherwise you won't have games. I mean, if we're just gonna shut everybody down, there won't be anything to play on Sunday. So we'll see how the new policy works itself through. I mean, some team like the Saints, they didn't have a team out there. That was the modified team. That was a 7th grade basketball team, and
I don't even know how
varsity.
That what they've gone through has just been a long year.
The whole season's a wash, basically, for the Saints. Whole season.
Yeah.
And they could have been a Super Bowl team. They pound the Packers. They beat Tampa twice.
The one thing they wanted to do was really find out about Jameis Winston this year, moving forward. Like this would have been the year to really find out. And he was up and down. He didn't play a lot, I wouldn't say I saw a lot in Winston that would make me excited if I was the Saints, but you certainly didn't get the answer you needed moving forward. Taysom Hill is not going to be the answer. He's always going to be gimmicky. So here are the Saints, like you said, almost a lost year where what did they gain? What's their plan for the quarterback next year? I mean, it's just, I don't know. It's been a strange year for the Saints.
You'd be hard pressed to find a team with more impressive wins than the 7-8 Saints. I mean, they beat Green Bay 38-3. They beat New England 28-13 in New England. They beat Tampa twice. There you go. That's if you were to tell somebody that before the season, you'd say,
I think they beat. Did they beat Carolina when? Did they beat Carolina when Carolina
lost to Carolina at the start of the season?
They lost to Carolina.
Okay. Right. That was a bad game for them.
But anyway, strange year for them. I haven't even looked at potential. I haven't looked at potential first round matchups too hard yet for playoffs. Because I feel like there's so much up in the air.
It's hard to.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of this podcast episode, though, right? We're trying to make sense of a strange year and what emerges from it all. And I'm with you on Josh Allen just being, a one-man wrecking crew that can overcome what else ails the Bills. They've got a path to win it all. Green Bay can kind of play both ways. They can air it out still if they need to. They can run the ball and win with turnovers on defense if they need to. I don't know what to make of Tampa with their injuries. Like Kansas City. And I guess we let's each throw out a team. Yeah, maybe that's your team. Like another wild card team that you kind of like.
Yeah, I picked that Dallas. Well, they're not wild card. I guess if I was looking,
I shouldn't say wild card in the literal sense. Like just a random team. Yeah.
AFC is so how can you not? You can't ignore Cincinnati. Here's why, in my opinion, because I love Burrow. So you got the quarterback. They're healthy. That's a recipe to make a run. Those two things, if you have the quarterback and you're healthy going into the playoffs, to me, you have a chance to make a run. So I'd throw Cincinnati in as a wild card for me. As somebody maybe we haven't talked a lot about, and I'm not trying to, obviously they just had that. I mean, Burrow's stats against Baltimore, that's not even right. Baltimore's secondary. But it was I don't even know what to make of that sometimes. Baltimore is depleted in their secondary. So I don't want to take away from what they did, but you're not going to get that every game, obviously.
Burrow's been pretty lights out since the bye week. They got pounded by Cleveland 41-16. Yeah. They're 5-4. They get healthier at the bye, and they came out, they beat Vegas, and remember they absolutely blow out Pittsburgh. But even in those losses to the Chargers and the 49ers,
Yeah,
Burrow looked
yeah.
really good. Like that
The
49ers
Chargers
game and the Chargers game. I mean, he
yes,
was making some. Jamar
agreed.
Chase
He's
catches that deep ball that was picked off. That's a different game.
different game. So I'm a Burrow maniac. He's like, honestly, he's probably my fourth rated quarterback after the Mahomes, Allen, Rodgers.
He's right there.
Honestly, he's right there. He is that good. Like, so Cincy would be my dark horse there. NFC, there's still some boy, the 49ers.
Yeah. You've loved them for a while.
I was on them early. I'm not gonna lie, I kind of was like, wow, that was a pathetic, but I wasn't off, but they still don't seem healthy. Like, and they still have issues. It's always going to be Jimmy G is always, we know he's a good starter at best. He's never going to be great.
I wonder, this could be an opportunity. I don't know when people will be listening to this episode, but it does. It's not the perfect analogy, but it does kind of remind me of Colin Kaepernick coming in late in the season. There's a lane there for Trey Lance. He might have a chance.
I think that's a pretty good one.
If you were to take Kyle Shanahan at his word, he's made a lot of strides in practice. I think he's probably reading defenses a lot better. Fred Warner had a great quote on how Trey Lance just wasn't taking chances in practice. He wasn't driving the ball downfield, and they all have some more belief in him, from Shanahan on down to the leaders on the defense. I would think if Jimmy Garoppolo's finger is messed up, if he can't grip a football, like, why would you put him out there? Like, if they do play him, that is an indictment on how they really feel about Trey Lance. It is. I mean, if Jimmy Garoppolo starts, because it's not like Jimmy Garoppolo's lighting the world on fire. I mean,
it's like,
oh man, that Titans game was brutal.
When the Saints were playing Taysom Hill with a cast on his throwing finger, it's like, that's how much they didn't want to play Simeon.
It's true. I mean, but you traded 3 first-round picks to get Trey Lance. Even whatever your plan is for him, like, you put your career on the line for this guy. And Jimmy Garoppolo isn't playing that great. And he's hurt. And you can win. I mean, you can win with a really good defense, with a really good running game, and Trey Lance just hitting a couple balls downfield while running it 15 times himself. Like, it's they don't have to ask him to do too much. And remember, the last time he started, he didn't have George Kittle, to my knowledge. Kittle is playing out of his mind right now.
Was that
run game and pass? Oh, he's unbelievable.
That was that was Arizona game, I believe.
Right. Yep.
He didn't play. Trey Lance didn't look good in that game. He did not. But at the same time, he's a rookie. We've talked about these rookie quarterbacks all year. Davis Mills has played better than Zach Wilson and Trevor Lawrence this year. So rookies, it takes time. So you don't want to judge Trey Lance. Basically what I'm saying, don't judge Trey Lance off that one game. I want to see more of him too. I was never a big believer in him before the season, just because he had so much to go as far as how to learn to play in the NFL.
Right.
But all these guys do. I mean, Mac Jones and Justin Fields, they played at Ohio State, and Trevor Lawrence played at Clemson, and they look like they've never seen a defense before. I mean, it's hard.
Elijah Mitchell's health is big too. I mean, there's a drop off from him to Jeff Wilson.
100% agree. I like Elijah Mitchell. That was a really nice pick by them.
It was. I mean, you can see too. They kind of kept it under wraps, but Trey Sermon was the high pick. Elijah Mitchell was the low pick. Same draft.
They don't talk. It's like they don't talk about. It's just like Hayden Hurst was drafted over Lamar Jackson by Baltimore. Nobody talks about it.
Right. But I think that could be the key factor here. But to your point, they got Houston this week. I guess you can't sleep on Houston after they beat the Chargers.
No, you got to show up. It's the NFL.
It should be a win at Los Angeles. That could be for playoff position. It could be for a playoff berth. If they win these 2 games, even after that brutal loss to the Titans, I wouldn't want to face them if I'm Green Bay. I mean, that would be a bad matchup, I feel like.
Well, I guess that's a good way to say it. Like, that's why I'm thinking, like, 49ers, Bengals, you don't want to play those teams. Like,
yeah, right.
early, but
I like that. I like how we're just kind of bouncing all over the place because that's kind of what this season's been. It's just trying to figure out what, like, you
no.
have an opinion about one team and it just changes. It just changes
Well,
with one injury, one guy going on the COVID list, one bad play, and it's really hard to wrap your mind around 2021.
it's long season, like the roller coaster ride. Like that's why you can't ever. It's week to week, like we've always said.
Yeah.
Everything changes week to week, and it's like I'm pretty glad. I think you're best off just staying with what you believed in, as far as like when we're sitting here talking about these teams all the time. Because here we are talking about, like we said, KC, Buffalo, Green Bay, Dallas. I mean, we've been talking about them all year. So here it is.
I guess if I was to cherry pick a sure thing, Derrick Henry, if he comes back, I think that could change everything in the AFC. And we've really been forgetting about the Titans. They won one game over the course of a month, and it was against Urban Meyer and the Jaguars. So we've just kind of forgot about them. They're 8-2. They're riding high, but they haven't been without Henry since October 31st, actually. And they've somehow treaded water just enough without him to still be number 2 in the AFC.
Amazing.
They could draw, an inferior opponent in that first game, and then it gets real. I mean, and if you have Derrick Henry, who'd want to tackle him? I mean, that really could be a divisional playoff game here in Buffalo. I mean, you could see Bills Titans.
To your point, that's a good. I mean, you're right. That's what we're talking about, these playoffs. So it's like you can't. There's not one team that you're just sitting there saying, yeah, they are the team to beat. Like it's up in the air.
Mm-hmm.
So you just gotta get in. Like I said, be healthy. Quarterback, have the right quarterback. Be healthy. That's the recipe.
And one other name to throw in there. I mean, they haven't just been without Derrick Henry, but AJ Brown. I mean, AJ Brown was out for several weeks. And he comes back, and they throw him the ball 16 times. He takes over the game. I mean, it looks like he's gonna have to get a game underneath him to get his legs back, and all of a sudden, they can't stop him. So if you can have a freak at running back, a freak at receiver, they could go drive to drive with any team. I feel like even through the air. Tannehill looks like a different quarterback when they're on the field. That's for sure.
It's incredible the difference in Tannehill's. Like that's a great point. I've never seen a guy he's so reliable on like we said, the full process being in place. He's okay. Man, as soon as you take those guys out, it's like turnover machine, holds the ball too long, doesn't see things. It's just the rhythm is totally off when those guys are out for him.
14 interceptions and 45 sacks in 15 games for Ryan Tannehill this year. It's a lot.
Yeah, I'm not a believer, but those other guys are. And I like Vrabel. I think Vrabel's good. He seems to he does a nice job, I feel like, finding ways to win in matchups, doing a good job of the team he's playing and really game planning for that team.
Honestly, that's probably why I'm so high on the Titans. Subconsciously, Bob McGinn's article is just in the back of my brain, I think. If people didn't check it out, oh my God, unbelievable deep dive. He wrote whatever it was, 7,000 words on Mike Vrabel and his upbringing, his playing career, his coaching career. There's only one. He is football to the core, the blood, the guts. He's what it's all about. So I think he's one of the best coaches.
Well, he's famous for that quote, right? He would cut off whatever
his penis. You can say it.
To win to win a Super Bowl?
Yeah. On Bussin' with the Boys, great podcast.
I said we had Mac Brown from North Carolina this week saying they asked him if he would have mayo dumped on him if they won the Mayo Bowl, and he said you could hit me in the face with a frying pan if we won. And I said only in America, like these guys make millions. They're $1 million a year leaders of like a company, basically. How many leaders of companies are walking around saying they would cut off their penis or hit me in the face with a frying pan? That's football summed up. That's football coaches summed up. They make millions of dollars, and this is what they're telling you. The leaders of their company hit me in the face with a frying pan.
Maybe bite some kneecaps off while we're at it too.
What's that?
Maybe bite some kneecaps off. Also,
bite kneecaps. I mean, these guys are making millions of dollars, and these are the quotes you're getting. Like, I just picture like the CEO of like Coca-Cola. Like, would he ever say anything like that? Like,
which begs the question, though, Jim: is there anything you would win, any amount of money, any prize out there in the free world that you would take in exchange for having your penis cut off?
it's a tough question.
Anything at all?
What? So Vrabel made that comment. He's done. I mean, he's married with kids.
Right. He said a comment like, "Oh, my wife wouldn't mind," or something.
So he's pretty much saying that he's checked out on the whole. Like, been there, done that with all the. I got my use out of my penis.
Right. It ran its course. I'm looking up the exact quote.
I don't.
Okay, so it was on Bussin' with the Boys with Taylor Lewan, Will Compton, the Titans. Vrabel was asked if he would cut his penis off to win a Super Bowl, to which he replied, "Probably." And then he added, quote, "You guys will be married for 20 years one day. You won't need it."
So, all right. So I
That's why they have all those commercials, right? Because there is a science to it. You just lose the desire.
So that's what I'm saying. He's speaking from a different,
Yeah.
No, I'm not a head coach. No.
Yeah, there's nothing I can think of myself.
No, nothing's coming at the top of my head.
I don't think I'd do it for really. I mean, any amount of money, I don't think could do the trick.
That's crazy.
Somewhat important appendage. It is needed.
And I guess that would be the other point. Was there a time in your life, money-wise, where financially you would need, any amount was, the greatest thing in the world? So
yeah,
like Vrabel, probably the wrong guy. I don't know. I just can't believe these guys are saying these comments, like, to win a football game.
Yeah. We're kind of crossing over into Howard Stern territory here, so I apologize to our listeners, but I do wonder, 32 head coaches, how many of them would go that route? I wonder what percentage we're talking.
That's a great poll question for somebody to
do. Well, you know what? There was the woman at Bill Belichick's press conference asking about his New Year's resolutions. Somebody should just ask Bill Belichick this question after the next crushing loss. Bill, would you sacrifice your penis to win another Super Bowl? Like, what would Bill Belichick's response be? Like, I would die to see his reaction to that.
What if his answer was, "Oh yeah, I already did that"?
Well, if they play the Titans in the playoffs,
well, what if he says, "I already did that. I sacrificed it. That's why."
The great thing about Belichick is he won't even react to it. His eyebrows won't even raise. Like, he'll hardly even make a peep. He'll just kind of. I will say this. My first response to that question, I don't know who she was with when asking about the New Year's resolution after that game, but obviously it's ridiculous. Obviously, what are you doing? But that took guts. I had some respect for it. She had an assignment. She had a question to ask. All of these teams are cutting back on access. It's not like you can just pull a guy off to the side. It's a press. This is all they're giving you access wise. So she was going to get that question in. So you know what? Power to her. Respect.
He could have, and he could answer it.
But no, I thought it was great. I'll get back to you next week.
Get back to you.
Oh my gosh, man. Well, they that's why the NFL is great. So the Patriots are rolling. Now they've got back-to-back losses, and Bill Belichick's getting asked about New Year's resolutions, and Mac Jones had his worst game. It's a week from now when we try to make sense of this league. Everything we just said will probably be moot. But
oh yeah.
It was fun. It was fun while it lasted.
We made all these predictions. Whatever team we didn't talk about, those will be the teams probably in the championship game.
No doubt about it. Yeah, like who did like we literally talked about everybody that could make the playoffs. So it'll be Philadelphia against
Philadelphia. Yeah, Philadelphia.
against like the Raiders, right?
Raiders sneak in, make a run. Philly.
Howie Roseman getting this team into the playoffs.
8-7. I mean, they're 8-7, correct? Philly.
Yeah.
I remember being 8-7 with the Bills.
Yeah, you were there a few times.
Right. Holding your breath to make the playoffs, just like the Eagles. That's what the thing about 8-8, or now it'll be 8-9 or 9-8. You're just really hiding things. Like,
it's a good point.
There's bigger issues. There's bigger issues.
It does remind me of the two Rex years, the year that the Eagles are kind of having.
Philadelphia right now is 8-7, and they're excited. We were 8-7 or 7-8, whatever we were that year, and it was like, all right, if we sneak in, great. But what are we going to do at quarterback? Who's going to be the coach? Who's like,
yeah,
it was still a bunch of question marks. So that's 8-7, 7-8. That's a lot.
It was a different though. I feel like it was so different with Philadelphia. I feel like there's optimism, there's hope. Nobody kind of thought they'd be this good. With you guys at this point of the year, I mean, I remember sitting up in the press box 4 hours before the game, and all these reports are coming out that, oh, Doug Whaley is going to get fired, and oh, Rex Ryan is doing this, and oh, Greg Roman's doing like everybody was kind of looking for the lifeboats, and you guys are still kind of in the playoff hunt, you know. So, but I feel like Rex kind of set that bar, though. The way Rex talked, and the expectations were so high that maybe that's why it kind of led to that.
Look at Vegas right now. You know, they're whatever they are, 8-7 or 7-8. I'm losing track of what everybody is, but when you're in that range, that's what I'm trying to say. It's fun for the year, the time, but you have issues. Like, things aren't great. Like the Philadelphia Eagles, I could sit there and tell you they're excited right now. I don't know how you could sit there and say that Hurts is the guy. I mean, he has not shown to really, like, they run the ball well and their defense has played really well. But when he's forced to throw a lot, which they tried to do with him early in the year, and they realized, no, back off, which credit them for changing up how they were going to play. But I'm not going to say they're hiding him, but he's not, you know, if you stop their running game, is he capable of beating you? Those are the questions they have to answer, you know, moving forward.
Yeah.
But for right now, that's what I'm saying. 8-7, you're hiding some things. You're hiding things.
Yeah.
Matt Nagy made he's made the playoffs twice as a head coach.
Yes, yeah. They beat Jacksonville, Houston last year. They get in at 8-8. You know, to play devil's advocate, you know what's crazy though, Jim? I mean, we had Mark Ross on the podcast last offseason. I think he was with the Giants then. I mean, Eli Manning goes 9-7 one year, wins the Super Bowl. Like, and he's on the back pages all the time. You know, they don't know about his future. He's under pressure week in and week out. They sneak in, they get hot. He's a hero.
So that's what I mean. It's good for that year. It's like, yes, if the Eagles sneak in, they have a chance. Like, you get into the playoffs, you have a chance. But you are hiding things. And the Giants after that, you know, did that buy them? Did that fake, like, the ownership in New York, did they buy into the 9-7 won a Super Bowl with Eli? But the bigger picture was he was on the decline. Like, was he the reason? You know, and why were you 9-7? So those are the questions you have to.
Right. I mean, it takes self-reflection, right? You've got to know, you've really got to ask yourself some hard questions as a GM and a director of personnel. Like, and you guys did. I mean, you and Doug, you faced reality, I feel like.
It was, and we tried to. I mean, we realized that, like, yes, we like Tyrod. We brought Tyrod in. We also didn't see Tyrod as being the answer to all the questions. You know, it was a good, you know, and that was hard. I mean, it was hard not to love what Tyrod did, but you have to be real about things. Self-awareness. Yeah. I ask every guy in scouting that wants to be a scout, and I would do this to you. If you scout yourself as a player, Give me the rundown right now. And if you can't scout yourself, you can't scout other players. So like, if you can't admit what you were bad at, like we would have guys that, we would go around the room and do that in New Orleans times. We had guys that were really good college football players, but maybe where it was an undrafted free agent, got cut, but he could never admit, we'd say, why'd you get cut? Well,
really,
I don't think they used me right. We're like, nope, not the right answer. You're like,
can you name names? Like who wouldn't face the reality?
Oh, I can tell. Well, the guy that he's with the Falcons right now, assistant director of scouting, DeJuan Jones. He was famous for he was a hell of a player at Richmond, University of Richmond, played in the NFL Europe, was a really, really good receiver. But he never could admit certain things. Like he just couldn't bring himself to say that he got a fair chance. Like there's just guys that can't let it, they can't do it. But he's a good scout. I don't want to say, but self-awareness, key.
And it's so true with players. It was in our Giants series, but when they were looking at Antoine Winfield Jr., so that was a player that one of the scouts really liked, and Dave Gettleman said, well, he can't tackle. I don't want him. He's not gonna be able to tackle this level. His scout said, no, like you want his aggressiveness. He's a ball hawk. He flies around. And he said like his meeting with the team was like the most impressive he's ever been around. He was breaking the game down. He was bringing everybody in the room inside his mind on why he missed those tackles. And, here's the angle he took. Here's his point of contact. Here's why he's flying all over the place, and he'd overrun guys. And I think if somebody can't, there was that self-awareness, right? Like he's not just saying, oh, screw that, I'm a great player. It's like, no, that's real. And here's why. Like anything in life. I mean, if you think you're perfect and you can do no wrong, like a certain Giants general manager that's going to quote unquote retire in a couple weeks, then you just lose all the time.
Right. They'll give him the courtesy to do that, I guess.
Yeah, interesting. He gets a nice little farewell, but the guy who won 2 Super Bowls is fired mid-season. I think the first one since whatever was the 70s.
I think of all the Giants stuff, because you brought it to light, Jerry Reese, talking about just dropping off he doesn't do media. For one of the most, how people aren't banging down his door to hire him. Like Jacksonville Jaguars, are you kidding me? Why would you not do everything right now to start, if you're going to start over? Start with a guy that's done it, like a credible GM who was fired he made the right decision. Eli was done.
He was. I haven't talked to him. You're right. He does not talk to reporters. You don't
hear about it. I always liked Jerry. Jerry was always humble, great guy. Always would take time to talk. Whatever. He was just really a guy you would respect. I don't know how his name isn't like. Yeah.
What's pretty interesting is unsolicited. I wouldn't even ask these scouts about Jerry Reese. Every single one of them went out of their way to say how much they just loved him as a human being. And he did win 2 Super Bowls, so he was pretty good at his job too. But that, all of that aside, like he cared about like the scouting lifestyle. I mean, you guys are living out of a suitcase. You're living out of a Marriott, like literally half of the year, more than half of the year, you're not at home with your family. And he cared about that stuff. Like he wanted to check in on your family. They'd have like regular family meeting, like gatherings. And, it's so hard on your lifestyle. And it seems like he really understood that and valued that and wanted everybody to know that he cared beyond football.
When you're a scout and you work for a GM who takes the time to care about your home life because of what you just said, because people don't realize area scouts, it's brutal. And we had GM Mickey Loomis with the Saints, still their GM. He treated us like gold, like family, especially the year we went to the Super Bowl. It was awesome. Like we were a part of the whole thing. Those guys you can't say enough good things about, because I've been with GMs that are like, you don't feel like you're a part of the team. Like, hey, just send your work in. Good luck. Like, you feel like you're just typing stuff up and sending it in. And does anybody even care? Do you want to talk?
Right.
Like, so it does go a long way. It goes a long way.
There's a lot of GMs out there when they're walking around the office, they just have their heads buried in their phone and, oh, hey, you good? You good? Yeah, you're good. Okay, good. And that's it. That's the extent of the conversation with the minions beneath them. And then there's some who really care. And I tend to think that the ones who care, they probably win more often than the ones who don't care. Like that stuff matters.
It's interesting. Right. Especially when you dive into the GMs who are succeeding and how did they come up in the business? Were they scout? Like Brian Gutekunst, area scout. I guarantee you, I'd love to hear from Packer scouts how they're treated by him. I bet it's pretty good.
It's good. That's a good question. I should probably ask around a little bit.
Well, I'm just saying, not that you have to. I bet it would be pretty good though. Like, and then ask Jacksonville Jaguars how life is for their scouts. With Trent Baalke and Urban and
old Herbs. When are we going to see old Herbs again?
Probably on Fox.
Poor Herbs. Poor fella. Let's get some redemption stories going. And yeah, he'll be on TV first, right? He probably does have a PR team like in place to try to rehabilitate his image, get the experts on the scene and
he and
probably
Tebow
some TV.
He and Tebow should do a podcast together.
He's not cutting off his penis for a championship.
Urban is not.
Urban, yeah.
Urban is not.
Oh, we always come full circle. That's a beautiful thing.
I don't know how we even got into that today. That was interesting. Yeah. I may have been the one that brought it up, but
what do you say? Should we get back to our lives?
Well, I say for the new year, not cutting anything off.
No resolutions?
I do the same one every year. I want to gain 30 pounds. I want to do one that I can reach every year. I'm going to try to put on 30 this year.
I love it.
It's a very reachable goal. I think if I work hard at it, I can do it.
I think you can. I mean, you've lost at least 50, I feel like.
It should be good. A couple more hamburgers.
Some beers. I like it. I'm going to keep mine simple. I'm going to steal it from Adam Carolla about 2-3 years ago. He put it out. I don't even know how it worked out for him, but one of his New Year's resolutions to demand more out of your deodorant. All deodorants are pretty terrible, right?
They don't. It's like they could be like chewing gum. They last about a good 30 seconds to a minute, and then where are you when I need you?
Right. We can talk like this, I don't really care. I mean, look at I got lesions on my face, it's like, I got married and it's like, oh, whatever. But yeah, put deodorant on and it's like, pop a shirt on an hour later, changing my shirt. If there's a listener out there that has the magic bullet, please, that's my resolution. Demand more out of the deodorant.
I like that one.
Yeah. Because we're going through too many shirts.
Hold it accountable.
Absolutely. Hold them accountable. Okay. On that gross note, we should probably sign off. Jim, always good to see you.
Always. That was a good one.